What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So on tonight's episode, I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with LTO Network. Now, I know that they might seem quite new on our radar, but they've actually been around since 2014. And what they're dealing with is workflows, which is very common through a lot of enterprises dealing in B2B collaborations with each other. However, they're taking a decentralized approach. Now, they do also have a hybrid approach as well. And one thing I want to note is that they already have a mainnet, not to mention the fact that they have some pretty interesting tokenomics, including something referred to as the bridge troll, which we'll get into that in just a bit. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview, and without further ado, here we go. What's going on, guys? We're hanging out here today with LTO Network. We have Rick Schmitz, the CEO, and Arnold Daniels, the lead architect. How's it going, guys?
Hey, good.
Great, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And for everyone out there, this is not a sponsored video. In fact, I reached out to these guys because this project really interested me and I wanted to get to learn a little bit more about what LTO Network is. So that being said, I think that's a great place to start. What exactly is LTO Network?
Yeah, so LTO Network is a hybrid solution where multiple parties that have a potential conflict of interest can work together on a decentralized workflow, where everybody can reap the benefits of data reuse and validation of steps in the process without picking up the phone, sending each other emails, faxes, and letters to keep each other in the loop on the process. Basically, the systems can communicate with each other in a decentralized way. And there where humans need to be involved, they get a trigger to do their step in the workflow. So basically, we're unlocking a whole new level of efficiency.
So, but there are centralized options right now, clearly. So what is it about your approach that is beneficial compared to what we already have, available to us?
Yeah, so basically organizations have focused on optimizing their workflows inside of their organizations. But the second they need to collaborate on a process that runs outside of these organizations, basically things stop functioning. They're going to grab old school methods of communicating with each other in an unstructured way, right? So they're going to send each other emails, PDFs, and this is not data that's understandable by the machine. So if you receive an email from another organization, you're basically going to automate that in your own silo. What if these systems could communicate in a decentralized process where the unstructured, where structured data is shared instead of unstructured data? So you can automate that, right? So basically bringing process efficiency, but everybody can keep their own systems, their own databases, and can share the data only crucial for that particular process.
Yeah, and this is something that some people may not be familiar with these processes. They're foreign to some people. Like you have the ERP, BPMN, CRM, whatever they are. They're really complicated, but essentially they're just workflows, right? They're just ways of getting tasks completed, essentially. So, now I just wanted to really quick ask a question because there's another project out there called Unibright, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them, and they kind of have a similar, I feel they sound similar on the surface, but what exactly are you guys doing that's like sort of like maybe different or if somebody was to ask, I guess.
Arnold?
Yeah, so Unibright is more focused on a no-code solution for writing smart contracts. That's also being done as a workflow, but that's also kind of where the comparison ends. We're really providing a solution for organizations to work together cross systems, where those systems are off-chain.
Okay, so that's the main difference then. So then in that case, can we actually talk about the hybrid approach? I want to know, like, what are the components of it essentially, and how does it work?
Yeah, so we have a permissionless public chain, which is used for anchoring. So it stores only hashes, and that can be used to verify the data that's being privately shared between the organizations. So data is being shared peer-to-peer, and then it's being verified using hashes which are stored in a public on a public blockchain.
And essentially, this actually should be faster, right? Because you guys even said I saw on your website, you're almost taking that Bitcoin's SegWit type approach for your anchoring solutions. So this should really make it a lot faster.
Yeah, so the advantages has above, for instance, systems like Ethereum, is that the role that the public chain has is very limited. It's basically only a handful of transactions, of which anchoring is the most important. So because you're limiting the capabilities of the blockchain so much, you can really optimize for that one single type of transaction.
And are you guys now you have a bit of a history. I just wanted to clarify that. You're not like a brand new project. So you have existing clients already. Can we actually talk a little bit about that? Because I want to know what your plans are with these clients. Are they looking to get on board? Have you trialed this, and what are the results?
Yeah, this is more a business question, so that's one for me. Yeah, so we've been servicing clients since the early days of 2015, when our centralized system was ready. And these clients are all being forked to the decentralized workflow engine, which we have. The cool thing is with our solution, you can start centralized. So if you look at a business, they still think blockchain is a scary thing, right? Where this is pretty new for them. It's going to take another 2 years, from our opinion, to have this running inside every big multinational or government. So they want to test the waters. And the cool thing is they can start centralized. The decentralization starts when another party outside of the organization running the workflow is invited. So, and this is the permissionless part. So if you're invited as a organization on a workflow, that organization can decide for themselves to participate on the workflow of the party that invited them, or you can spin up your own node and get the data synchronized on that workflow to your node. So you can optimize the workflow with your systems as well. So every party can decide how they communicate on that workflow, either centralized or decentralized. And so that is like, easier to implement and to have these organizations getting used to blockchain and what the capabilities are.
Are you guys finding like a demand for this? Are there people coming to you asking for these solutions, or do you find that you're kind of approaching them and saying, hey, this is better than what you're using right now?
No, so basically parties come to us as, hey, we saw we had one big project with the Ministry of Infrastructure, where you have the Netherlands and Belgium. They run about 600,000 waste management processes. And you have a lot of stakeholders involved in this process. And the results were like super great. Like they had a 35-40% efficiency being made by implementing this on 1,000 trial processes, and now looking to run it into all their systems. And the benefits created with that, like were shown to other companies, bringing them to us like, hey, this is actually something we can use. How can you help us? So parties are coming to us instead of the other way around.
That's good to hear. That means there's demand for it. What are your primary clients? Are they anyone? I know you're saying B2B, but do you focus on specific sectors, or do you think this could be basically applied to anything?
Yeah, there are definitely the use cases we always point out are custodian chains, where you have to deal with permits and certificates. That is an important one. Supply chain, there's a lot of stakeholders involved that needs to be on the loop on the process, many different actors. We have contract lifecycle management, where parties need to collaborate on the execution of something that has been agreed upon. Stuff like that. So it's pretty broad. Every company that does business basically has workflows with others, but there must be a lack there must be some kind of conflict of interest. Otherwise, it's not interesting to do the blockchain. Like, let's say phone companies, they have to deal with a lot of clients. They basically run workflows with clients all day. But there's not a real conflict of interest. If you don't trust your phone company anymore, you can basically switch to another one, right? So there must be something that you cannot switch, where parties are on equal footing, like multinationals doing business together, and where there's a conflict of interest of data sharing. Competitors can work together on this system, and both reaping the benefits of data reuse and communication on processes in a structured way.
That's an interesting concept.
I really think that B2B, that's really, really important, because you could, for instance, as a big organization, serve this towards a client, but clients are not likely to spin up their own node and run it in a decentralized way. They just need to go to the application of the provider. But when you have two businesses, they really want to work on equal footing.
When you talk about setting this up, I mean, how simple are we talking here? Because I know you guys have your LTO toolkit, right? So how easy is this to integrate? I mean, do you actually have to be like a seasoned developer to really know how to use this thing, or how easy is it really to set it up?
It's relatively easy. We have Docker containers, which you can spin up. At the major hosting providers, there's typically a point-and-click way to run these containers. And then we have a set of APIs to integrate it to your own systems. Writing these workflows, it's also relatively easy. There's not real programming involved. It feels a little bit like writing Excel sheets. So you have your formulas, you have your things. So it's a little bit technical, but you don't really have to be a seasoned developer.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to talk too about, you guys mentioned your miniature private blockchains. How does that work exactly? Can you just go into detail on that?
Yeah, definitely. So we have the global blockchain, what I said earlier with the anchoring, and then we have these event chains, and they're set up for each live contract. So when you start an agreement with another organization to run a specific process, you create a contract for that, and all the privileges are written in that contract, and that contract forms its own chain. So the contract itself is forms the genesis block of that chain. Everything that happens that involves this agreement is added as an event to that miniature chain. And once the process is over, you can maybe keep it a while for archiving, but at a certain point, you can actually go and erase that.
And that'll take the stress off the main chain, right? The main network. So that's essentially what you're trying to do, right?
Well, that's part of it, but that's not actually the main reason. The main reason is that you don't want to be sharing private information via a public network. So the private information is shared peer-to-peer between these organizations, and then the public chain is only there for consensus and also for verification, data verification.
Like, how close are we? Do we have an actual working product right now, or where are we in the stage?
Yeah, the mainnet is live. It has been live even before the ERC20 token was created. The project is available. You can go and try it out.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up something. Do you mind real quick? So you have this thing called the troll bridge, okay? Then this is supposed to incentivize. I mean, essentially from dumping, right? I mean, that's the whole idea behind it, I would think. So can you kind of talk about this? Because I want to talk about the toll bridge, plus the fact that you just said you have your mainnet, you have your ERC20. So how does this work exactly? Between using the utility of the actual token, which I want to get into, but then also you have sort of like the speculative aspect of it as well. So what is this whole token model you have?
You want to take this, Rick?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so basically we had a working product before we had an ERC20, but the problem is with a native mainnet token that it's very hard to list, right? So we basically created a bridge where both supplies on mainnet and ERC20, the liquid side, are 100% corresponding with each other. So we have seen other projects, and I say, okay, let's take this token economy to the next level. So we started to think about that. Guys from BCG were involved in that, running a lot of crystal ball simulations to see what happens if there's a lot of people unlocking at the same time, right? And what's going to happen when bridge troll fees are getting lower. So what we said, okay, to prevent dumping from investors or early backers or VCs, which you see a lot of times, we created a fluid exit. So you could exit on day one, but you would pay 55% of the fees. So basically, if you have 1,000 LTO on Mainnet and you would want to move to the liquid side, basically taking your profits or not believing in the project anymore, 55% of your tokens would be burned for the benefit of the mainnet holders. And these tokens will be taken out of circulation right away. So the bridge troll fee is basically burned forever and taken out of supply. So basically, if people are dumping, it stabilizes automatically the price because it's taken out of circulation. And I think that was a good method because we've seen more people moving from ERC20 side to mainnet than the other way around. And that's exactly what we wanted.
That's good. That's really good because that's not been the case with a lot of these things, you know? And unfortunately, a lot of projects, and we don't have to name names, but the token, you know, we find out it's more of just a fundraising mechanism, and then it doesn't really do anything outside of that. But you guys are actually creating real value around the token itself. And I think that's good because we need actual utility for these tokens, not just, you know, oh yeah, I mean, like, for example, some of these wallets that have come out, right? Like, what does the token do, man? Like, you know what I mean? What can you actually do with it? So, yeah, I'm glad you clarified that. I think that's one of the coolest things that actually drew me to you guys originally was the fact that you actually cared that much about the utility and a way to make it benefit. So like when they sell, like you said, they're getting burned, they're gone. So that's helping everybody out in the long run. The other thing too, I just noticed today, I actually spoke about it, is you guys have, I don't know, is it an official partnership with CertiK? You guys are doing the live contract audits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could just kind of explain the significance of that as well, and why you guys are going through with that.
Yeah, so basically we were, CertiK was doing a hackathon together with one of the biggest legal process automation parties in the United States called Quizlex. And Quizlex wanted to make an application to do NDAs, and they're launching this in some big event in the United States. And the thing they want to do, like, okay, both two parties can agree on some points in the NDA, they match each other, and then you have a end result being the NDA both parties agree upon. Then you basically DocuSign it, and then the end result is hashed and timestamped in our public chain. And basically you want instant response on that, and that's what we can deliver, but a lot of parties cannot do that. And then CertiK said, okay, this is pretty cool. Can we use this to timestamp our audit reports for smart contracts as well? And basically we said, yeah, sure, let's go, and you can go up and use that. And in return for the favor, can you be our party in the United States to audit our live contracts? Because you don't want to make mistakes in those live contracts because they're running crucial business processes. And if you have a party that's really understanding how this technique works, basically you can review and get stamped by CertiK saying that the live contract is actually good. And you get a guarantee from them. And every time they do that, the audit report is anchored into our public chain.
Awesome, guys. So I kind of wanted to just sort of like wrap it up a little bit on this. So you say LTO bursts the hype bubble. That's on your actual site, right? So what do you mean by that, burst the hype bubble? Is that just a way of saying like we're the real deal, or because you obviously take this very, very seriously, I can tell. So
like what you see in the landscape, and I'm not pointing with fingers, but projects raising 300 million on a fucking white paper, that is ridiculous from my point of view.
You're setting yourself up for failure with a raise that high. I mean, let's be real. Where can you grow from there?
Come on, how can you put like and then these parties saying, okay, we're gonna spend 30 million on a staff in the first year. Well, if you have ever run a business in your life, it is actually pretty hard to get 10 people starting from zero. So in order to grow a business from zero to hero, you need to follow the lean startup way and make sure that you validate your product every time, and from there you can grow. You need to have a business model behind it, and you need to make money going forward. Otherwise, if nobody wants your product, it will take a while with 200 million, but you will die eventually. If you don't have a product market fit, you're basically doomed to fail, even with a lot of money. So we thought, okay, let's take this project to the next level, and let's just focus on adoption of the project. And that's what we have been seeing, and what our backers have been seeing, is that they have seen the transactions on the mainnet going up and up and up and up. And that's where it's all about. Clients using your product. And I said to all my followers, saying, okay, guys, don't judge us by the price of the coin, because that is something that the market decides upon. Judge us by the number of clients and the number of transactions we're doing at the end of this year. We're bringing 15 million transactions per month. And if that is more or less reached, then you have a real usage product market fit of the product. And people are judging us on that now. And that is more important for me than a high token price or being hyped on 4chan.
Yeah, well, I mean, generally, as they are demanded, I mean, theoretically, the price would go up anyway. I mean, but obviously, you can't promise things like that to people. I mean, we can't say anything like that in a video, so we won't talk about price that much. But I think that, like you said, it's all about adoption. It's about having these clients, building these relationships, seeing the transactions, and like you said, seeing it actually have people moving from ERC20 to the mainnet is pretty incredible. That they're putting that much faith into it. You know what I'm saying? And they're actually seeing the value of it as well. So kind of like on that topic, to wrap everything up, I wanted to ask you guys, what can we actually realistically, like, because you said you're not going to hype it up, what can we realistically expect moving forward, you know, maybe short term or long term from you guys? And then also if there's anything that you think maybe we didn't touch on that you think we really should, I figured now would be a good time for that.
Yeah, basically you're going to see a lot of extra transactions in the next coming months. And a lot of clients, moving from ERC20 to mainnet to spin up a node and start using the product. The only thing we're really focusing on is getting that adoption going on, because that is actually what blockchain needs right now, and we're willing to prove that we're a serious project, and that we care about adoption, to keep this space alive, because basically it's all one big echo chamber right now. Basically people are starting to lose belief in blockchain if you're talking to businesses, being all unregulated frauds. And yeah, I think we're the good kid in this landscape, proving that there are other parties as well. And I think the landscape is maturing, but it can be better, from my opinion. So basically, we're keep on educating businesses and showing them the advantages of blockchain. And we will be keeping up the good things with adoption and new clients anchoring on the platforms and using our decentralized workflow solutions. So yeah, that is.
I think that's important. That other projects often are 4 steps ahead of what they should be. So they're already working on these new unproven concepts, while their initial idea has not been fully worked out and actually isn't being used by anybody. So that's really what we're focusing on, setting this baseline and actually having a large adoption for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Some of those Ethereum dApps, I mean, you see the daily active users is like, what, 10 people, 15 people a day? I mean, that's incredible. Can you imagine trying to list something like that on the App Store or Google Play or something like that? Like, yeah, we have 12 active users daily, you know? It's like...
Yeah, it is insane from my perspective. We're doing, I think, today, 9,000 transactions from clients per day. And this is our growth curve of transactions has been insane, and that will be continuing. People actually using the platform, because if you don't have usage, doomed to die.
Exactly. You need that network effect. Like I always say, you know, the hardest telephone to sell was the first one. The second one was easy. I'll just call the first guy, right? Network effect. So if you guys have it and you're building it out, then that's great. That's what you really need to get it started. Probably should ask this in the beginning before we go. Real quick, what does LTO stand for? What is it?
Liquid Task Orchestration.
Okay, now we know. Now the cat's out of the bag. So for everybody that's been watching, I also do want to mention the fact that you guys have done other interviews as well. You did a really great one with Blockchain Brad, way more detail than we did today, which is why I'm actually going to drop that below and reference it if you guys would like to learn a little more and go deeper into the inner workings of LTO Network. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by. This was really cool. I just reached out and you were like, let's do it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. Great.
Yeah, definitely. So for everybody, definitely check out LTO Network. They definitely piqued my interest, and hopefully you guys can have a look and decide for yourself. So that being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Appreciate it, Rick. Appreciate it, Arnold. My name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.